Good morning once again. Welcome to our DISS class, or the Disciplines and Ideas in the Social Sciences class. So, this is your teacher, Mrs. Lori A. Develos. We are now on the 4th week of our quarter 1. Last week, we discussed all about the different major social sciences theories and their applications. For this week, we're about to discuss perceived human personality and rationality towards solidarity. So, for our milks, analyze the basic concept and principles of the major social science ideas. For your learning task 1, this can be found on pages 62 to 63 in your module, in which you can find the different pictures. So the title of the activity is Say Something. Write at least 3 words that you can think of about the picture. Now, while answering the activity, consider these processing questions. Number 1, what do you feel about the activity? Number 2, what helps you come up with 3 words to say something about the picture? Do you think you have come up with the appropriate word for each picture? So, sa tingin ninyo, naibigay nyo ba ang tamang word? Why? Can you identify the different major social science theories based on the given pictures? So, we discussed already the social sciences theories. So, saan kaya applicable ang tatlong theory sa mga pictures na makikita sa pages 62 to 63 in your module? So, that is activity or learning task 1. The main cognitive idea of psychoanalysis is that people have unconscious mind, memories, feelings, and desires. Do you agree with that? I, for myself, agree with this statement. What do we mean when we say psychoanalysis? Psychoanalysis can be described in 2 ways. First, it is a comprehensive theory about human nature, drive, actions, growth, and experience. Second, it also refers to a method of treatment for psychological problems and challenges in living a successful life. Psychoanalysis, which traces its roots to psychologist Sigmund Freud, means analysis of the mind. So that is what we mean by psychoanalysis. Analysis of the mind. It came from the word psychoanalyze, coined in French by Freud in 1896 from Latinized form of Greek psyche, which means mental, plus German analysis from Greek analysis. So that is what we mean by psychoanalysis. The 3 personality, Freud conceptualized 3 personality structures. So what are those 3 personality structures? We have the id, the ego, and the superego. The id includes entirely of the unconscious, underlying, and primal urges present from birth, which operates based on instinct and pleasure directed. So, id yun. While ego is the portion of the personality that deals with the demands of reality. It aids control and balance on the urges of the id and make us act in are both acceptable and realistic instead of satisfying one's desires. Furthermore, the superego includes our values and ideals, the values that our parents taught us, and the ideals that our society instilled in us are the guiding force of the superego in its effort to make us behave with accordance to our moral. Example, id versus superego and ego. I want to steal. So, gusto mong magnakaw. Sabi ni superego to id, you should not steal because it is wrong. And then, according to ego, you will go to jail. So, gusto mong magnakaw. Yun id. No? Sabi ni super ego mo, bawal magnakaw kasi masama daw yun. Why? Because we are guided by our morals and values or ideals taught to us by our parents. Diba? Tinuturo sa atin ng magulang natin, masamang magnakaw, masamang mandaya. No? And, sabi ni ego, ay pag nagnakaw ako, mapupunta ako sa kulungan. So, that is an example of the 3 personality structures. Ito pong 3 personality structures na ito ay makikita sa atin or sa bawat isa sa atin. Bawat isang tao ay merong id, may super ego, and ego. Defense mechanisms. So, ano kayang ibig sabihin ng defense mechanisms? A defense mechanism is a technique that the ego uses to defend itself from anxiety. This defensive way acts as a protection when something seems too overpowering or even improper. So, sabi nga natin, ay defensive siya. No? Alam mong mali ka na, pero idinidepensa mo pa. Defense mechanism ang tawag doon. Types of defense mechanism, alin kaya dito ang madalas nyong gawin? Maybe you are not aware of that. Pero, I hope that after this lesson, you will be able to know, ay, ito pala ang madali kong or madalas kong gamitin. Una, rationalization. Justification of unacceptable behavior. Example, masama ang mangopya. Alam mo yan. Pero, meron kang kinopya galing sa sagot ng mga kaklase mo dahil nakita mo nang nakapost na nung sinita ka ni teacher, di ba? Alam mong mali yun. Pero ginawa mo pa. Nung pinagsabihan ka, may depensa ka pa rin. Ma'am, hindi po, magkaiba po ang sagot namin. So that is rationalization. Next, intellectualization, reasoning to block emotional distress. No? Yung bang ayaw mong tanggapin ang katotohanan. Next, reaction formation, changing unwanted emotions or feelings. Next, acting out, carrying out an extreme behavior. Projection, transferring the drive or behavior that causes anxiety to others. So, ipinapakita mong galit ka. Diba? Projection. Dissociation, separating out of the memories one can't deal with or doesn't want. Mga alaala na gusto mo nang kalimutan. Dissociation ang tawag doon. Compartmentalization, separating part of oneself from awareness of other parts. Yun bang umiiwas ka? Humihiwalay ka sa mga kaibigan mo. That is one example. Displacement, transferring of negative emotion from one person or thing. Pagpapasa ng negative emotion. Next, regression, seeking the safety of an earlier development stage. So, alam mo na, no, na may mali ka, pero isasalba mo ang sarili mo. Next, sublimation, diverting intolerable impulse to socially desirable one. So, pagda-divert. Next, compensation, balancing apparent weakness by accentuating strength. Masakit na sa kalooban, pero ipinapakita mo pa rin na okay ka. Next, repression, unconscious forgetting of unwanted thought or trauma. So, gusto mong makalimutan ang traumang iyong dinanas. Next, suppression, conscious type of forgetting to escape from the problem. So, defense mechanism, halimbawa, ang pag-iinom ng alak dahil meron kang problema na akala ninyo dahil kayo ay nagbisyo, naging addict, or manginginom, matatakasan mo ang problema mo. No. Why? After kasing matanggal ang tama ng alak, still, ang problema ay naandun pa rin. Next, splitting, seeing everything as bad with nothing in between. Then the last one is using humor. Directing on funny aspects of a painful solution. So, masakit na, pero idinadaan pa rin natin sa biro. Those are the different defense mechanism that maybe we are not aware, 1, 2, or 3 of them ay ginagamit natin just to defense or forget something that we are facing right now. Next, the basic concepts and principles of rational choice. Behaviorists follow the perspective of positivism, close to the natural explanation of empirical theory, in which behaviorists consider the following. Number 1, observable behavior should be the concentration of analysis. Number 2, any explanation of that behavior should be susceptible to empirical testing. Take note, we are analyzing the mind of an individual. So it is very important for us to know why he or she behaves that way. Rational choice affirms that the behavior and social life of a person as a whole can be explained through a person's rational choices. So kung bakit may behavior ang isang taong ganon, it is because choice niya po yun. Making decision and action. So, each and every one of us makes decision. Sabi nga ng mga nakatatanda sa atin, buntot mo, hila mo. Ibig sabihin, when we make decisions, we have to think it not only once, twice, thrice, but a million times, no, bago tayo magdesisyon or gumawa ng hakbang. Bakit? Simply because whatever the consequences of the decision that we make, tayo din naman ang haharap sa consequences na yun. Especially you, young ladies and gentlemen, since you are considered as young, mature, or a mature person, no? So, you have to decide, how do you call this one? You have to decide in such a way na wala kang pagsisisihan. You have to decide intelligently that at the end, ay tama pala ang naging desisyon ko. Yan ang masasabi mo sa iyong sarili. Making decision and action, rational choice theory is the perspective that people act as they do since they think that acting on their chosen human activity has much profit than costs. So, pag nag-decide daw tayo, dapat marami ang ating gain, marami ang ating mapapala, marami ang ating tinubo kesa sa ating ginastos. Institutionalized and gender-sensitive society towards equality. So, this is another module. Specifically, this module will help you to understand the basic concepts and principles of institutionalism, examine the constitutive nature of formal and informal institutions, and interpret personal and social experiences relating to constraints social behavior. So, what is institutionalism? Institutionalism is an approach aligned to methods and approaches in political science that has significance in society. This implied as the regulations, orders, and systems. Through these institutions can be explained as any formal management set up and designed to emulate behavior, function, and regulation. According to North, 1990, institution is any kind of constraint that man made to form action. So, any institution yon, no? So, what are the different institutions that can be found in our society? Family is one, religion is one, or church, school is one. So, those are the different institutions. Now, we have this what we call formal institutions. Are institutions that are officially established in one way or another. The government itself is an example and other government agencies. The national and local government laws, rules, and regulations. So those are the different formal institutions in which those laws, rules, and regulations, whether we like it or not, we have to follow it. How about the informal institutions? Are not officially established but are commonly accepted throughout society like practices, standard or label of behavior, This applies to all types of activities such as cultural, social, political, and economic. The concepts and principles of feminist theory. Feminist theory. Women were forced to do their traditional duty like being housewives and not given the right to education and other legal rights. Deborah Madsen stated, feminism stands for women's status in society and demands about gender consciousness and oppression. The first wave of feminism highlighted many issues associated to women such as marriage, property rights, and right to vote. Why? Kasi dati, no, according to my grandmother, ang mga babae daw ay sa bahay lamang. Wala silang karapatang mag-aral ni bumoto. So, yung grandmother na sinasabi ko is the mother of my mother's mother. So, yon. Kumbaga, pag sila ay nag-asawa, they have no choice but to stay sa bahay. Alagaan ang mga bata, ang pamilya. No? Yung bang, di ba alam natin na kapag sinabing nanay or mother, ilaw ng tahanan. Yun lang ang pwede nilang gawin. Until such time na lumabas itong feminist theory in which nagkaroon na ang mga kababaihan ng karapatang bumoto, magkaroon ng property rights. Kapag sinabi nating property rights, pwede silang mag-acquire ng properties. Kapag sinabi nating marriage, pwede na silang mamili kung sino ang gusto nilang pakasalan. Before daw kasi, si babae ay ipinagkakasundo lamang ng kanyang mga magulang. So kahit ayaw niya yung kanyang mapapangasawa, no choice si babae, kundi sumunod. Bakit? Kasi nga, wala pa tayo nitong tinatawag na feminist theory. The first wave, feminism stressed equal opportunity for women in the society. Among these feminists who founded contemporary feminism were Elizabeth Robbins, Dorothy Richardson, Catherine Mansfield, and Virginia Woolf. The second wave of feminism began in 1960s. It stressed social, cultural, and political inequality to women in the society. It comprised a vigorous involvement of women economically ahead of World War II. This period was the beginning of women education and women involvement on civil rights and radical issues attached to young women culture change. So, ibig sabihin pala, 1960s or World War II na nagkaroon ng talagang thorough rights ang mga kababaihan, no? So, pagdating ng 1960s, hindi lang yung karapatan na makapag-asawa ng gusto nila to acquire property and to vote, kundi pati yung involvement on civil rights. So, pwede na sila doon. The third wave of feminism or post-feminism also started in the 1960s and flourished in the 21st century. It looked into the relation of language and gender, also tackled issues attached to discrimination of women in the publication arena, and covered the facet of multiculturalism and competition. So, mas lalong lumawak ang naging kakayahan ng pwedeng gawin ng isang babae pagdating na ng 21st century. No? Kasi dati, limited, 1960s, or before 1960s, then pagdating ng 1960s or World War II, nadagdagan ng konti, pagdating ng 1960s to 21st century, mas lalong lumawak. At ito na ngayon yung ating nararanasan. Na kung saan dati, hindi pwedeng sumali sa politika ang mga kababaihan. Ngayon, pwede na. Nowadays, we have governors, senators, and other elect public officials that holds offices. No? May mayor, may vice mayor, may governor, senador na mga babae. So, yon, malaki na or malawak na ang naging papel ng mga kababaihan. Meron ng equal rights. No? Kumbaga, nowadays, hindi na pwedeng basta-bastahin lang ang mga kababaihan. Next, gender ideology and gender inequality. To the feminist normative view of gender ideology, conveys that women are viewed as inferior to men in a system of society dominated by men. So, dati daw ang mga kababaihan ay walang papel sa mundong ginagalawan ng mga kalalakihan. Inferior to men. So, takot, nahihiya. Those were, gone are those days, no? Gone are those days na oo na lang tayo ng oo sa mga kalalakihan. Nowadays, we have an equal rights. According to International Encyclopedia of the Social and Behavioral Sciences, gender ideology described as masculine and feminine behaviors and social roles. So, example, dati ang nagwe-welding lang lalaki. Nowadays, hindi. Dati ang construction workers lang lalaki. Nowadays, hindi. As long as kaya mong magpala, kaya mong hakot ng semento, maghalo ng semento at bato, pwede ka na doon. Gone are those days na, ay hindi ako pwede dyan. Kasi trabahong pang lalaki yan. No. The normative meaning of gender ideology needs to have distinction from biological sex association and behavioral gender orientation. These two concepts are understood differently based on the meaning attached to it by the person. So, kaya lang daw naiiba ang pakahulugan ng sex and gender depende daw sa person or sa tao kung paano niya yun pakakahulugan or bibigyan ng kahulugan. Oo nga naman. Example, pag tayo ay gumagawa or nag-fill up ng form, merong nakalagay minsan sex, male or female, or meron naman gender, male or female. So, walang ipinagkaiba yun. Depende na lang sa pakahulugan po natin. On the other hand, gender inequality for feminism focuses on the rights and freedoms for women and girls of all ages in the society. Feminist groups claim that human rights, they inherent is traditional bias in favor of men and boys. Yun lang talaga kasi, no? Meron pa ring mga pagkakataon or paano ba? How should I say it? Na in terms of our human rights, may bias pa rin na nangyayari between boys and girls or man and woman or male and female. Yun lang ang tanggapin natin. The concepts of women's rights is not only focused on marital, parental, and religious rights, but also to enter to legal contracts, own property, rights to suffrage, be educated, hold public office, fair wages, and equal work opportunities for women. So, ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina, no? Yung mga karapatan natin bilang isang babae. So, hindi na lang daw nakafocus doon sa marital or parental. Na kapag babae ka, nanay ka, sa bahay ka lang. No? Pag babae ka, wala kang karapatang mamuno ng isang sekta. Or kapag babae ka, basically, talaga kasi sa bahay ka lang. Ngayon, hindi na. Diba? Pwede ka nang mag-acquire ng property as much as you can. Be educated. Kahit ilang kurso, pwede mong kunin. Hold public office. Ito nga yung sinasabi ko kanina, na mayor, vice mayor, senator, babae. Fair wages. Hindi ibig sabihin na ikaw ay construction worker dahil babae ka, mas mababa ang sweldo mo. No. Then, work opportunities for women. So, pag kaya mo, kahit gawaing lalaki, pwede ka doon. So, before I ended up for our learning task 2, I just want to sum up our 4th week, no, in which we discuss psychoanalysis, in which we tackled all about the mind of a person. We analyze. Maybe you are wondering if you have friends or family members why he or she behaves this way. No? Lagi niyong tatandaan na bawat isa sa atin ay merong tatlong structure or bumubuo sa pagkatao ng isang tao. Diba? Yung ego, the superego, and the id. Bawal pero ginagawa mo, sinasabihan ka na wag mong gawin, at ito ang magiging resulta. So, lagi po nating tatandaan yan. If ever that we encountered family members or friends that there is something different with him or her with regards to the way he or she acts, maybe we can help him or her in our simple way by first and foremost analyzing his or her behavior. Sabi nga kanina sa introduction ng ating lesson, it is because of the memories, of the experiences, bakit siya kumikilos ng ganon. Ako sa tagal ko na sa pagtuturo, no? Lagi kong, marami na akong na-encounter na batang pasaway, batang walang kibo, batang madaldal. At first, I'm just going to observe him or her. Bakit kaya siya ganon? Is there something wrong with him? Bakit kaya ito ang sagot pero ipinipilit pa rin niya ang gusto niya? So, try to study. Ako kasi, after nun, kakausapin ko siya, itatrace ko, bakit kaya ganun ang behavior niya? Then, malalaman ko, ay ganito kasi sa bahay, ay ito kasi ang pinagdaanan niya. So, never judge. Huwag mo agad husgahan ang isang tao kasi nakita mo lang na ganyan ang kanyang behavior. I'm telling you, HUMSS students, if a person behave that way, sa likod nun ay meron siyang itinatago, meron siyang pinagdadaanan, at meron siyang kinakaharap na kung ano man yun. Okay. Then second, we discuss all about feminism, karapatan ng mga kababaihan. Oo, may karapatan tayo. We should know our rights, but alamin din natin kung ano ang responsibilidad, kaakibat ng rights na yun. Okay? For learning task 2, what am I? This can be found on page 79 of your module. Identify the concept being described in the following statements. Choose your answer from word pool in the box. So, that's all for our week 4. Congratulations. Don't forget to answer the tagubilin and then the reflection. I kept on telling you that for the second or for the last 5 subjects, my focus, 75%, is not on the learning task output, but on the reflections and tagubilin. But then, sad to say, my dear students, week 4 na tayo, ang naipapasa pa lang ng iba ay week 1, ang iba ay wala pa. So, later on, maglalabas ulit ako ng video with regards to the reminders. Congratulations everyone! Enjoy answering the activities!